Thank you, Akash. Good day, everyone. Welcome to ACDT number 69. Today is February 9th, 2026. Yeah, let's just get started. First item in the agenda is Amsterdam, and the first sub-item is the log access list DevNet number 2. Stefan, would you want to go to the overview of the current status of the DevNet? All right. Mentions that the audio issues. I think he's rejoining. Let's just give it a minute. Anybody else wants to chime in the meantime regarding them the two?
Maybe I can give a quick update while Stefan figures out his mic issues. So we launched the DevNet last week, Friday. We initially made a bit of a oopsie configuring the network, and that's why we had to make a 1,000 key deposit. We initially configured the whole chain with only 1,000 liters, and right now I think we have some syncing issues on Nethermind. Nethermind has been taking a look and trying to figure out what is the issue. Maybe they can give us an update next. As far as I know, everybody else should be okay. Oh no, Nimbus EL as well. Nimbus EL with Lighthouse also seems to be falling behind. So maybe they can also give us an update, but everyone else seems to be at head.
Thank you. Anybody from Nethermind that can give an update?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we're investigating this syncing issue, and just generally working on our BAL's implementation and getting the rest of the test passing. Yeah, that's it.
All right, thank you. Anyone from Nimbus EL can chime in?
Yeah, sure. So this is the current hypothesis. It seems to be an issue with the finalized block. I'm sort of relaying here, but that for the block access list to be present for that Nimbus currently requires it to be present for the non-finalized blocks. And this is something that is apparently not necessarily the case. I will admit I'm not the person who's been directly looking into the details of this, so but we are engaging here, and that's the current. It's become a bit of a discussion of like what the correct behavior should be, basically. And we can tweak this either way.
All right, this is something that you need to bring up in the block level access list specific discussion, or do you think it's a spec problem, or is what I mean, or is this a client issue?
I wouldn't. My understanding is this: the spec says what it. I don't think that we're sort of disputing the spec at this point. This is our. So I wouldn't say that quite yet. To Jared's point, yeah. So that Nimbus does require that, and the non. It should be, yes, and the uh, so um I we may it may get to the point where it's worth raising, in that sense,
All
but
right.
um, but I don't think it's escalated that far yet.
All right, thank you, Dustin. Stefan, I see that you're back online. We went through the details and the issues that we had. Do you have anything else that you'd like to point out?
Just maybe if clients could double check if we can run with 150 million gas. I'm not sure if that was discussed. So currently I've set the network to 150 million gas, but this might cause issues. So it would be nice if clients could double check this. I haven't heard back regarding that yet, but otherwise I might have to decrease it again, but I don't think it has caused any issues so far.
Yes, Tony?
Yeah, I'm not sure if the 10 megabyte limit or any of those size limits still matter, but with 150 million, we would definitely get over the 10 megabyte uncompressed payload size. So shouldn't be an issue if we just avoid spamming big data transactions. So just as a heads up, maybe let's avoid that.
If it was over 10 megabytes, then it would be an invalid block because we've already put that barrier in.
Yeah, okay. This is good to know because then we should definitely avoid it. Because as of 104, 105 million, we can get over 10 megabytes if we don't include, and we didn't do so, we didn't include 7976, which would increase the call data cost. Then we should be fine again. But for DevNet 2, we don't have that ERP yet, so better let's not put big data transactions on there.
I mean, it'll be fine because you won't be able to build a block more than 10 megabytes because it's an invalid block. We put that in Fusaka.
Right. Okay. Perfect. Even
Is
better.
that something we should try out?
Yeah, sure. But I mean, it does. It means that the blocks will be constrained by the cap on the megabyte size, which will skew the gas markets when it should actually be done on pricing. It's more of a safety measure. It's ideally we wouldn't be hitting the cap, but it should be safe to put go to whatever gas limit you want and not break the network.
Okay, that's good to know. Maybe other clients, if they have some insight on this.
Jared, I saw you raise your hand. Do you have any input, or was it just
yeah, I was basically just gonna say that like we shouldn't be building like Ben said, if the clients do build a block that it goes over the size limit, it's a bad block, so we shouldn't be avoiding parameters which would cause that to happen in valid implementations, and that it if that issue could be surfaced in a client, it should be tested here.
Yeah,
One
agreed.
consideration on that. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was waiting for a silence or a pause. Okay. One consideration there regarding, I mean, I don't fundamentally disagree. I mean, that sure. Just the answer to don't create invalid blocks is don't create invalid blocks. But there's a packaging point that it becomes less acute with EPBS, but 2 points on EPBS. One, the EF is still making noises about if it's like too delayed, it won't be there. Secondly, it doesn't completely remove this issue because the envelope has some overhead on the CL side. Well, this is what that structure is called over there. That contains execution payload and stuff, and the ball stuff as well. So what this means is that there's a block that looks valid from the EL side that is not valid on the CL side. It cannot be broadcast or etc. on the CL side.
The cap includes a margin for the CL, so it's I don't know if it's like the EL can only produce an 8 megabyte block, so that the CL can put an envelope around it.
Okay, that addresses / resolves that. That's fine then. Okay.
Yeah, that's already in Fusaka, so It's live on mainnet. Yeah, but
Okay,
obviously
great.
we still need adjustments to the call data pricing because we don't want the size cap to determine the blocks. We want the pricing because otherwise the gas market goes all wrong. If you're determining pricing by the cap rather than the actual prices.
Yeah, no, I agree. I want to address Marius's question in a moment too, because he was obviously responding to thing I just said. Uh, and but and maybe mumbled my way through, I don't know. But the but in terms of ensuring the gas market is not distorted by this, I think the more principled solution that I think actually, I'm not saying this will have this in we don't have it in Fusaka. I'm not saying we'll have it in Amsterdam. I'm not. This is not necessarily a near term thing, but that the most principled solution I saw was I think actually Yasek's. Yes, also Nimbus, but I disagree on plenty of stuff. That that where the gas price and where the blocks max block size is determined by the gas price. It's a function. They're mutual sort of functions of each other in a certain sense, and that there are variations of this idea. But the idea is that you don't have this other kind of cap that you change one parameter, then oops, you hit some limit. All right. And that avoids this, but we don't have it yet, and we don't have it for Amsterdam. But the deadline. Oh yeah, somebody was right. That was asked and answered. Um, yes. Basically, if EPBS looked like it was missing deadlines, then there were noises made on other ACD calls about dropping EPBS. And I only bring that up here to say, well, that any planning now around block size limits or overhead or something can't take into account yet the reduced overhead from splitting the CL block and the EL payload. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, Dragon?
Yeah, I had question about hitting that limit, size limit, 10 megabytes in the block building. How is that done on Nethermind side? Does it basically check the size after the block is built and validates it?
We check it as we're adding transactions. So it's not too.
So that include both the transactions and receipts and ball.
I'm not sure what we're doing with balls.
Yeah, ball is problematic, probably. Either way, just wanted to focus a little bit here because it can be. It's probably every client probably has edge cases around this, how they like measure the block size while they're building it. It's very easy to like check it after it's built, but invalidate it or just stopping at some point of time after some intersection that block is big enough. It's probably very implementation specific. So either way, if we can go to like 100 million gas and we are sure that we don't go over 10 megabytes with that, just go with like 100 million and then bump that again when proper IP4 unit code lands.
Thank you. Marius?
Yeah, I wanted to respond to the point that I keep blanking on the name. That someone was making that this extra cap should be should not be there, or it impacts the gas schedule and the gas schedule, and that is yes, but the idea of this cap was that this is like a stopgap solution. This should never be hit in practice. And even now, it should not be hit, except if there is adversarial transaction load on the network. And I think it is fine to simulate that on DevNet 2. And in theory, nothing PM should be broken with it, but yeah, if we want to if we want to focus on having this kind of a stable network and not break it, then I don't know if there's really a need to test this on BalDevNet 2. But as Tony said, that we will increase the call data size anyway, or we will need to increase the call data size anyway if we want to go significantly beyond 100 million gas. So yeah, I think doesn't really make sense for me now to kind of test this condition that we are hopefully never going to hit on a DevNet, just to test it and then potentially break the DevNet and kind of stall our progress on testing these other things that we should be testing on this DevNet.
Thank you. So yeah, it seems like the sentiment or consensus is to lower the gas limit for now. Stefan, is that an issue or should be okay?
That's not a problem. We can lower it. It's just
Excellent.
the request came in the breakout call to raise the gas limit so that we can increase the state, so it's easier to do some benchmarking. That's basically the motivation for it.
Yeah, I see two numbers in the chat. It's 70 million and 100 million. Should we decide on one or push it to 70 and then push it to 100? Is that okay? Yeah, Tony?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to agree. I think it's fine. We can go with either. It would be great if we, at least at the latest until DevNet 3, if we have like a clear understanding of where this new 10 megabyte limit applies. I guess the new evlog EAP might also affect this because suddenly receipts are also a problem, it seems like from the chat. So it would be great if for DevNet 3, if we are ready to increase it without having to fear that something in Dev P2P might struggle.
Thank you. Ben?
I think the logs issue is around 107. So we should be fine at 100.
Sounds good. Thank you. Tony, you still have you're having your hand up. Okay, thanks. All right. Is there anything else anyone wants to raise regarding block load access list DevNet 2? Or shall we move on to EPVS?
Nothing else from my side. I think Barnabas said everything.
Perfect.
Maybe just to add, we have a breaker call on Wednesday again, where we discuss two small changes to the specs again. Very minor things, but still worth to highlight.
Excellent. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Stefan. All right, let's move on into EPVS DevNet 0. Justin, is it you, the go-to person for this topic? Do you know the updates, or should we go into to the clients for updates?
I guess I am the go-to person, but yeah, we should go to the clients first.
Excellent. All right. Yeah. Let's go clients first. So anyone from Prism can give an update on EPVS?
I'm not sure if Terence is here, who would be the most appropriate one, but same as last week, we are just merging and implementation is picking up pace. I should have ForChoice ready in 1 or 2 days, and most of the core transition function is already open for review, and people are merging PRs. What's missing is the API, and this is already like the team is onboarded mostly on that. People are writing that, and the blockchain package to sync, which I think I'll take care of that after ForChoice.
All right, thank you. Anyone from TechQ who wishes to give an update?
Yeah, sure. So Basically passing the specs test from Alpha 2 and without the fork choice test. And we got a couple of more people working on GLOAS now. So yeah, hopefully soon we can interop between each other and then DevNet 0 at some point.
Great, thanks. Anyone from Lighthouse? All right, or anyone from Nimbus? Just to keep moving. Nimbus or Lighthouse for EPVS updates. Anyone who wishes to chime in?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, well, sure. I'm not sure I'm the best person to do this, but I'm sure. But basically, we're merging, yeah, kind of along line of what Prism, what POTUS was saying about what Prism was doing. So we have, I mean, I think the big PR that the Alpha.2 spec stuff has been kind of finding various edge cases in that and the like, actually in the specs more than in the PR itself, but and the test. But in any case, that works. We can. I think the plan is to merge that imminently, and then and all we have the full. We're passing the test. We have the full state transition function. We, in theory, are broadcasting everything. Also, this is a request for clarification, I guess, is that in one of the other ACD calls, there was a comment about that DevNet 0 would not be primarily about fork choice. But that wouldn't be like the target for fork choice. That would be, I guess, what DevNet 1 or something 2. I'm not sure. Whatever. Is that true? What is the? 'Cause that was like almost a.
Yeah, like ideally,
Hmm?
we're not gonna have many forks on DevNet 0, and we're not gonna trigger any edge case scenarios. We just want to try to test basic interop between the clients, and then later on,
Right.
once we have like answered on DevNet 2 or whatever, then we can go really into the harder edge cases.
Okay, because basically our plan is to not really prioritize um uh the the fork choice stuff at that for DevNet 0 and then. And I just want to confirm that. Fine. All right. Otherwise we're getting fairly close to closer to ready, I would say, to that for this. Not any huge missing parts.
Okay, thank you.
But I do have
Yes.
so one question. This is, I promise, a question, and then I'll let the meeting continue. But is we are looking for a way to test this. Is there a way kurtosis the same way that in for Barnabas has gotten the CLs to implement a fake fork that will probably never exist for balls, which fine, okay, that means balls can be tested more easily. But the converse of this, something is there an EL analog here so we can like
I was
kurtosis
trying to
test this stuff?
remember कि कब करने का सोच रहे थे, and then I remembered you said हाँ 2 week बाद.
Okay.
I think that wasn't intentional. Doesn't sorry, please clarify your question again.
Yeah, oh, kind of, I think Barnabas may have responded to this, all right? Like EPVS DevNet
Yeah.
0. Basically looking for an EL branch to do something like whether it's kurtosis, but in general, an EL to pair with the CLs for testing. Because that's
Yeah, that should
my
be
personally biggest concern. Sorry, go ahead.
that should be the image to use right now for the EL.
Okay. Because that's otherwise is my biggest concern. It's like, well, we have all this stuff theoretically there, but yeah. All right, great.
All right.
That's it.
Thank you, Dustin. Lastly, anyone from Lodestar who wishes to chime in regarding the updates?
Yeah, so we are passing the Alpha 2 spec tests and have implemented the stateful block production APIs, and then NC can give an update on our fork choice progress. But basically, we are passing all spec tests. So,
right, for fork choice, we have a couple refactoring on our EPBS fork choice implementation. So we're getting one step closer to get the fork choice PR merged. And we also have a PR draft, which is a first draft implementation of updating our state cache and checkpoint cache to work with EPBS.
All right, thank you. I think that's every client. Justin, do you have anything else that we should be considering here, or should we move on?
Not much. We are working on adding more tests for GLOAS, and there are a few open PRs, but I'm not sure if it makes sense to discuss them unless we want to, such as the variable PTC deadline PR by Francesco. Are there any updates there? Do we still want to merge this?
At least not for me. There were some concerns that had been raised by Anders about more like future compatibility of this, which I don't think there's like really anything to say about, in the sense there's not really progress on this question. Other than that, I'm not sure. I haven't really had time to think about it more deeply. Like right now, I wouldn't feel comfortable going ahead and merging it, but
Okay. We'll continue to work on it then. And that's pretty much it. I think every other PR we can discuss offline.
Excellent. Thank you so much. All right, let's move on. We have 4 other topics in gas limit testing. Yeah, let's just get going. The ETH70 updates, the new protocol. Do we have a go-to person who can speak a little bit more about it? I think if that, now no mistaken, is FLCL, right? The person to discuss this. Or do we have any other go-to person for ETH17 discussion topic?
So I can say that in Besu, the ETH17 implementation is ready, and I'm starting to test it. I need to also start to test it against other clients that I implemented it. Yeah, it's taking a bit more time because we are also refactoring the sync part of the code, but otherwise the implementation should be fine on our side.
Thank you. Marius?
Yes, as I have already wrote in the chat, or PK is also trying to test it. We have implementations for Besu, Nevermind, and Geth. Maybe PK, you can quickly talk about the state of testing.
That's the ETH70 test, right?
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, we've prepared a kurtosis kurtosis config for it. In theory, it should work that we are sending that we are generating blocks with receipts bigger than 10 megabytes, and we assumed that clients that do not support ETH70 at that point are unable to sync this chain. Right now, they are still able to sync. We are not fully sure why, but yeah, it's ongoing. Path forward is probably that we are probably set up a full testnet for it, because kurtosis has some limitations in regards to changing flags and restarting clients. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the the problem is that you can always full sync the chain, right? Like you never sync the receipts when you full sync the chain. You only sync the receipts when you are snap syncing. So
Yep, that makes sense, yeah. But even then, we had problems with restarting Geth with snap sync on a kurtosis DevNet. So yeah,
yes,
it
that's
probably
it. That's
just
it.
makes more sense to set up a full testnet for that to
Yep,
test this out.
that's a different problem. Geth is bad at snap syncing a chain that is not alive yet, or starting from zero, and then snap syncing. Yes, could we prioritize this ETH70 DevNet a bit, because this is the biggest blocker to scaling right now. Without this, we cannot go beyond 83 million. So it would be nice to get this over the finish line. And we need to wait until the fork point anyway, because all clients need, or all nodes need to be updated if we want to increase the mainnet gas limit. So the sooner we get to it, the more time we have for other EAPs. We can't just schedule it for DevNet 3. I think that would be possible as well. But maybe just testing it in isolation would be actually better.
With testing in isolation, do you mean like a sole DevNet just for this?
Yes, I think.
All right, because Barnabas is suggesting that we add it to DevNet 3, so that's something you don't agree with?
I personally think it would be easier and nicer to test this in isolation, and then later on maybe that add it to DevNet 3 or DevNet 4 or whenever at some point, like add it into the DevNet cycle, then starting the first test on the DevNet cycle, or on the DevNet on the Bell DevNet cycle, because we have so many interacting features now, and it doesn't make it easy to kind of merge the stuff upstream if we keep piling stuff on top of each other.
PK, Barnabas, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, we can get a new DevNet up and running probably mid-week or even earlier.
All right, I think the only missing bit from this is the client's readiness. Should we discuss this async and just reach out to you, Barnabas or PK, for the clients that are ready for them to be included? Is that okay? Okay, sounds good. All right, thanks for this. Let's move on. So the next topic is benchmarking updates. So for this, Camille and also Luis left a comment on the agenda. Camille, would you like, let me see if Camille's online. Yeah, Camille, would you like to go first?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I left any comment. Are you sure it was me?
No, sorry, I was mistaken. Yeah. Do you wish to give an update or should we go to Luis?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can give an update then. So currently we are focusing super heavily on all of the benchmarks for repricings. I guess we have already a lot of test cases, especially compute part is well covered, and we generated tests. Maria had a first pass over the compute scenarios, and we have some first numbers. For stateful tests are still coming. Like Carlos Perez made a lot of tests together with Johan, and right now we are generating them. Also, we spent quite a lot of time together with who it was. Forgot the name of Rafael, working on benchmarker together with gas benchmarks generated tests to see if everything working properly. Also made a extra work to make the reorgs working here, so it is easier to test basically any test, to run any test instead of running all of them in proper order to reach one specific scenario. and it works well right now. And from important updates, Marcin made a draft implementation of testing endpoint inside Nethermind, and we integrated it into gas benchmarks, and it proves that it is much better than just using some hacked version of Nethermind. Test generation is much faster, much more flexible, and yeah, also thanks to that endpoint, we were able to make this reorging mechanism on top of stateful tests working. So yeah, so right now we are focusing again on regeneration of the tests, waiting for new infra to run the tests on top of mainnet and bloatnet. And once done, that will be done and traced, Maria will give a second round of analysis. Hopefully it will be ready by tomorrow with a data collected. But the blocker right now is the infrastructure.
Got it. Thanks. Thanks for the update. We do have a benchmarker demo, but I will leave that until after gas repricing updates. And lastly, for the benchmarking updates, Luis, do you want to expand a little bit on your comment in the agenda? Is that okay?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I would like to quickly share some status update from the Steel team regarding the benchmarking progress. So the first thing is that we have published our latest benchmark release, which now supports Osaka fork. And the second thing is that we have updated our benchmark documentation, which includes the current project structure of EOS benchmark and different modes of benchmark reporting, like corresponding test generation workflow. And also it includes the instruction on how to run and write the benchmark tests. I have shared these two resources to the chat. Please feel free to give us feedback and let me know if there is anything unclear. That's it from my side. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. Let's move on. Maria, the next, I think you're the go-to person for gas repricing. Would you like to give us an overview update?
Sure, happy to. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, perfectly. Thank you.
Okay, so we did the first breakout last week. The notes and summary is already on forecast if you want to review it. Also, if you want to keep updated on what we are working on these, we have these to-do list that I'm sharing in the chat, and I'm keeping it as much up to date as possible. So it has a description of all the work streams, including benchmarking and the general timeline for when we need things. The key updates there was on the compute repricing, so 7904. There's the PR for the new EIP numbers are there, and this is based on the first round of benchmarks that Camille was talking about previously. So we already have the set of operations that we are suggesting to reprice under that EIP, and also some preliminary numbers that then still need to be updated once we have benchmarking for block level access list optimized clients. So those numbers are not yet final. And then on all the other EIPs, so on the state access EIP, we still need the work on the benchmarks to be completed so that we can have the first numbers. Once we do that, we'll update the EIP as well. For the state growth EIP, so 8037, we've started to do more work on the specs and answering some open questions on how to implement some details. And we have Francesco did an initial pass on the specs. Spencer is starting to work on picking up from Francesco and making sure that everything is implemented. And I'm also updating the EIP to give more information on the actual details of how we do the multidimensional metering in that EIP. So the PR is not open yet, but I'm almost finishing up, so it should be ready by the end of the day. For the ETH transfers EIP, so 2780, we still we still need to do some benchmarking there to get the final numbers as well. And we have some work starting as well on specs and tests. And finally, for the data EIPs, so increasing the costs, Tony has done the PR on the specs. So I think that EIP is the one that is more advanced. And also, Tony published a proposal to change the base numbers to 6464 for the worst case blocks when the blocks are using most call data. So this should also help reduce the worst blocks there. So yeah, so this is the general overview. If you have any questions, just let me know. And yeah, we'll try to keep the to-dos as much updated as possible so you are also aware of what's happening. And if you have any comments, if you want to work more on these EIPs, just you can come to the breakout, which will be next week, Wednesday. And yeah, we'll happy to have you there.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks so much. Any questions for Maria regarding the gas repricings? All right. If not, thank you, Maria, again. Dragon? Please go
Sorry,
ahead.
I'm a bit late on raising the hand. Do we have plan on bot DevNet? Do we expect this to like land? Or basically, is it expected to like implement everything for the DevNet, or can be partially implemented, or something like that? It looks like there are a lot of changes there. So yeah.
Yeah, so that's a great question, and I think it's also a point I raised as a comment that I wanted to get to, and I'm not sure if this is the right place to have the discussion, but in my mind, the ideal thing would be, and I have this. So if you open the to-dos, I have a general timeline of when things will be ready, and so for all the EIPs, excluding the state growth EIP, so 8037, so that one we could do earlier. For all the others, they do depend on benchmarking things and their block level lists optimized clients. And so we only expect to have the final numbers by the end of March. So that means that it would make sense to add those EIPs after we have those final numbers. However, for 8037, given that first this is the most complex EIP implementation-wise, I think it would be better to have it sooner. So ideally, we would have it in the next DevNet, and then we could add all the others in the DevNet after. And I think that would be okay because all of the others are mostly doing just parameter changes. An open question is what we do with 2780, which also has some implementation logic, not just the changing the parameters. And there we could discuss, maybe it would make sense to add them both in DevNet 3 and then leave all the others for the next DevNet. I think for the data repricing, it may also make sense to add it a bit earlier just because of the discussion we had previously. So it would help us test higher block limits without getting the bottleneck of the size of the block. But yeah, so this is the general. I think what would make sense to do is essentially do the state growth EIP as soon as possible, and then we have a bit more leeway for the others, and especially for the compute reprice and the state access reprice, I think we should only add it after March.
Okay, sounds good. So in general, state access and state creation depend on the ball, basically on the ball data, how it will behave. So we need to wait
exactly.
that. Another EIP could be implemented before, but it will depend on if clients have time or basically organization in general. Okay. Cool.
Exactly.
Thanks.
Exactly. Yeah. But I would argue to prioritize it, like to make it the state growth EIP, so 8037, to make it the priority for the next step, DevNet.
Yeah, that's the state creation gas cost increase.
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
All right. But yeah, no, I don't think there's this is the time for make a decision because we're still like running DevNet 2. So I think if we can bring up that discussion at a later call, it would be great just to see how we can coordinate. All right. Thank you. So then thanks Maria and thanks Dragon. Yeah, for the last topic of today, we have a benchmarker update and demo, sorry. I think Rafael is the go-to person here. Yeah, thank you.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it has been mentioned already by Camille, benchmarker. So what is benchmarker? In the past, like Nethermind has been running these gas benchmarks, and benchmarker is highly inspired by this, like at least on the approach, how to basically execute EL benchmarks to like verify the mgas per second and so on, and see which tests are like the slowest and so on. So we created benchmarker, which is under the ETH Panda Ops benchmarker repo. It is able to, so one thing it does not do is like the test generation. So that is up to the East team to East. So it can consume like, there are East fixtures for benchmarking. It can consume those fixtures. It can also just consume raw JSON files that like do engine calls, new payloads and FCUs. And yeah, then you basically have like this set of tests. For example, the release that was mentioned before by, I think, Louis, they released this version. And thanks for the shout out for the logo. Yeah, they released this version. So Benchmarker can directly consume this, I think it's a zip file, and parse the tests. And yeah, and it can also do like raw JSON files, as I mentioned before. And let me actually show you, like, it's very configurable. So yeah, for all, there's a YAML file, of course, that you can like configure. One thing you can say, for example, I'm going to show you this example and we're going to execute this, is you can say where the test source is from. In this case, we are like using this raw JSON approach because we're doing some stateful tests. But in the future, we want to probably have like these East fixtures like as the standard for everything. And yeah, it kind of looks like this, like test source that you tell it. You can also like, give some specific Genesis files to the clients, resource limits. This is important because there's like this EIP, like for these standard specs for an Ethereum node. So we want to like be very close to that. So we can do resource limits also on the CPU clock. And one thing, this thing can run like stateless sets. So you don't have like any local state. But an interesting part is also it can also run stateful tests or like tests against like some existing state. And what we have done also is, in this case, you can specify like data directories. And these are from our snapshots. We downloaded it for Perf DevNet 2. And for, I think, all of the clients are, I think it's between 1.2 and 1.6 terabytes on each client, like on the data tier size. I have them locally, like for testing purposes, and you basically can define where they are. So benchmarker will pick this up. We support like ZFS. This is like a mechanism for file system snapshots, because every time when you run a test, you don't want to like copy the data yet somewhere else, because otherwise this is going to take a lot of time just copying. So we do support ZFS, OverlayFS, and yeah, raw copy if you want to do that. And then you have like the clients themselves, right? You can, images, argument, extra arguments, envars, whatever. You can do all of that. And we are actually going to run this one just to see how this works. So I'm saying, yeah, run the config file, and I'm just limiting it to Geth because otherwise this is going to take a bit longer. And this thing is going to execute, so it's going to fetch those tests that we referenced there. It runs them against the engine API, and at the end, it will basically create a set of files. It will dump a bunch of files into a results directory. And while this is running, what is going to happen afterwards? So after we have those results, I think they appear in here. Yeah, there. But afterwards, the interesting part is, yeah, you want to see the logo big again, right? No, let me go here. So there's also a UI that is able to like render the results afterwards. So we saw the most recent one was like a ref run. Let's see if it finished. Oh, there's a new one, right? This one, yeah, it was now at least based on my clock. And let's actually check the console again just to verify that it finished. Yeah, it finished. Okay. So if we then like click on this, you can see the run details. So you see that it ran 70 tests. You can like see little boxes here. There's like this mega gas limit that I don't know if we want to go giga gas. This doesn't look good. So we have to improve. There's also yeah, more like the configuration, which is always important. Like for people, they ask like, how did you run this, right? So it's kind of clear. You see it here. Also very important, when something does not work, you want to see logs, right? So you can like press here, and you have, in this case, it's nice because you have the benchmarker logs and the client logs in one. So you can see kind of what is happening. Like the blue ones are benchmarker and the purple ones are the client. Yeah, and there's yeah, the generated files that I've mentioned, it generates a bunch of them, but yeah, you don't have to worry about this. The UI kind of knows how to render these. This is also interesting. Like this graph in here, this is based on something that Carlos did. There's like this, there's also a link here. So for this research, it's basically something that logs slow blocks on the execution clients. They will basically dump a JSON payload in their logs. And if your client implements this, then Benchmarker can also pick that up and kind of generate disk information, also like caching information. Yeah, you can see cache hit ratios and so on. What else? Yeah, you have a test. You also have additional, like you see, yeah, all this table is also based on that JSON payload that is being logged. This currently just works on Geth. I think the other clients have not merged this yet. You have resource information over time, and also important, like if let's scroll up, right? You are like, oh, why, I don't know. Let's maybe scroll this. Why is this one orange, right? Or why is this slow? So you can click it. You have some more metrics. You can also see the raw requests that were done and responses. Yeah, so there's like a lot of information to debug. There's like test steps and setup steps. Setups are done before the test. It's just, yeah, sometimes you have some calls you have to do before the test. Yeah, and there's there's also this definition of suite. So you see that this test belongs to this suite. A suite is just basically a set of the same tests, so that you can actually compare them between clients, like how something looks like. This is basically you can see more information about what it's doing or where the test came from, and it's just doing some stateful tests, and I'm just doing Xen. Yeah, just Xen. Yeah, this one. And I think that's more or less, I think when you go, this is also interesting. Like when you go to the suite page, you see the test heat map. So you see the slowest tests across like all clients. Yeah, and then you can like go dig in deeper if you wanna. And yeah, at the bottom you see every run for that suite. Then you can like graph. Yeah, and REST doesn't have like those other graphs because they don't implement the JSON log yet. Yeah, I think that's more or less it. Just like a quick glance on this front. Yeah, if there are any questions, feel free to ask or message me like on Discord.
Thank you so much, Rafael. I think we only have one question in the chat, and it is, are you getting the results on all the runs, or there is a way to have the runs for warm-up and then use other runs for getting the metrics? This comes from Amazon.
If I'm getting so I'm not sure if I understood the question correctly, but is this more like about optimizing the runtime, like doing like warm-up, if there are warm-up phases, do them and then like, snapshot and do like the test phase?
Yeah, so this is more related to Besu, maybe at some point with another mind. So when you restart Besu, so if you try to benchmark directly, you are getting wrong results because Java needs some warm-up, needs to execute some methods at some level. So there are some thresholds, and when we hit those thresholds, those methods are compiled to assembly basically, but before they are interpreted. So we need to basically have that warm-up that is already done to get the results. So Nethermind benchmarks does that actually at some point. So I wanted to know if that was replicated in those benchmarks. But by the way, great work, really impressive.
Thank you. Yes, and regarding that warm-up thingy, so I also seen that on the gas benchmarks, and yes, we can also do that. So it's basically, if I remember correctly, it's just executing the test, but generating like a wrong state root hash or something on the new payload so that it kind of warms up. And yes, we can do that. It's already supported. Camille, you can correct me if I said something.
Yeah, exactly. Just wanted to confirm, and as you've seen, for now, this is utilizing still the benchmarks which are either generated by EELs or by gas benchmarks for stateful operations or stateful tests in general. So yeah, so warm-ups are there, and I'm not sure, probably it is either not yet enabled or there is just small bit which needs to be added, and the benchmarker should be like feature complete with gas benchmarks and extra things on top of that. So like this is like an evolution of gas benchmarks. So all the features which were before should be there.
Yes.
Okay, so how about stateful tests? So when we have a snapshot, then we start a node, and on top of that snapshot, and we generate those new blocks. How does the warm-up work in this case?
So warm-up will be still exactly the same. So we are generating the tests on top of state also with the usage of overlay or ZFS. And we are generating also the warm-ups in the exact same way. So we are spawning up the overlay on top of the database, creating executing bunch of tests with mismatch of state root, and saving everything into the files. So it is also still capable to execute in the exact same way as we did on stateless tests. So difference is there is no difference except that those are generated on top of state.
Okay, thanks.
Right. Thank you, Rafael. Are there any more questions regarding this? If not, thanks again, Rafael, for the amazing presentation. I think that's it for today. Thanks everyone for joining. Sorry for going over time. All right. See you in the next call. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.